issued. Now, for expert insights on these developments, we have in studio Advocate Nelson Sabalo, Bera Licensing Manager, as well as Mr. Batsumi Rankokwane, Bera Commercial Manager. Gentlemen, welcome to the Daybreak.
Thank you very much for hosting us.
Good morning. Yes, if we can just go straight into it and talk about how since licenses were issued in 2017, but fuel import licenses in Botswana have remained dormant. What does this reveal about the regulatory system, and what does it mean for us? We can start with you, Mr. Sabal.
Yes, thank you. Let me start by highlighting that the first import licenses to be issued by Bera were issued around 2018 when the authority started its operations. Up to date, we have issued around 100 plus licenses, and we have realized that those licenses are not being utilized. However, the licenses were issued with conditions, and those conditions, amongst them, was that if they are not utilized within 6 months from the date of issuance, the authority, as per the Act, has the powers to revoke, to cancel, or even to suspend those licenses. However, ever since issuance of those licenses, we have realized that only few are being utilized. Recently, we issued a press statement to the effect that those who are in possession or those who are our licensees and are not utilizing those licenses, they should contact the authority for them to come forth with the reasons why those licenses are not being utilized, so that we can map the way forward, either to revoke, suspend, or even cancel those licenses. One important thing that I have to highlight is that the authority is not only tasked with the function of licensing. We are also empowered and tasked by the law to make sure that we monitor performance of our licensees, hence our recent press release to the effect that non-performing licenses might be revoked if valid reasons are not furnished to the authority. But I'm with Mr. Rankokwane here, who is the commercial manager who deals with performance monitoring of our licenses. He will be assisting in terms of what is expected of our licensees. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mr. Rankokwane, maybe we can then get into the reasons. What are the main reasons behind the licensees not actively importing petroleum despite having or holding these valid licenses?
Okay, no, thank you very much. Maybe I need to start by indicating that as the authority, we are mandated by law to monitor the security of supply of petroleum products into the country. And obviously, as we indicated in the press release, we do that through a number of ways, such as looking at the import volumes, such as analyzing what we call the volume reconciliations. But maybe without wasting much time, let me indicate that the way this press release is crafted, it actually commences a process of engagement with these importers. Because what we are saying is, as the authority, we need to be meeting you one-on-one as companies to establish your performance ever since we granted you the license. Because maybe I also need to indicate that he stated that we have licensed more than 100 importers. But according to our records, our performance monitoring, on average, monthly, we have only 16 companies importing. And of those 16, only 5, they are importing volumes of 1 million and above. So you can see it's a small number. So the rest of the companies, we really don't know what is happening to them. That is why we have to engage with them to establish the reasons. As of now, we can only maybe assume on the basis of the few cases that we know. We know there are some companies that we have granted licenses. They have not imported, but they are in the process of setting up storage facilities where they can hold that stock. We believe those are valid reasons why we can tolerate somebody who has not utilized the licenses. But apart from that, we believe there may be other reasons out there. Really, this whole process is about engaging with the companies, communicating and ensuring that we are on equal footing, so that if eventually we make the decision to revoke, we should have ensured that we accorded our businesses the opportunity to really state their cases before the authority.
Thank you so much, Rarankokwan. In your press release, you mentioned how there have been speculations around the misuse of these licenses. Maybe we can then get into that to talk about how you ensure compliance is monitored according to the Bera Act. What are those measures that you have in place to ensure compliance?
Yes, one of the measures that we have in place, as per the regulations, in particular the petroleum products regulations, is that as Bera, we have to be alive to the fact that some of these licenses might be used for fronting, because these licenses, especially import licenses, as per the law states, they are reserved for citizens and citizen majority owned companies only. So there is a likelihood of abuse of these licenses, whereby people might connive with foreigners and they end up importing, fronting as whilst the citizens are fronting for those foreigners. So we have a relationship. We have built a relationship and understanding with BURS. On monthly basis, they produce or give us information as to who has been importing, so that we check with our records to establish if indeed those who are importing are the right people, the lawful people to be importing. So it's one of those things that we have to guard against, to make sure that the licenses are utilized by the right people to be using them.
Okay. Well, thank you so much. Maybe we can then, in the same line, then talk about the bottlenecks that typically occur when licensing, or when one is in the process of importing into Botswana. What are those bottlenecks that are there in the industry or in the sector that these people, the licensees themselves, do experience?
Okay, thank you very much. What I can say is that really this petroleum business, it's a difficult business for an ordinary Motswana, especially to penetrate the regional and international markets. And what we found out is that maybe apart from the South African market, most of our businesses, they're still finding it very difficult to access other markets, whether we are talking of Mozambique as an example, or even Namibia, because these are also the other routes that we are considering in terms of the supply into the country. However, I think that issue, I would say it has been addressed. One of the challenges was previously there was no pricing support for those routes. But as the regulator, we moved in to review our pricing framework for these petroleum products to ensure that such routes or any other route that may be used gets integrated into the pricing framework. So that is one issue of pricing. Of course, there are other issues around logistics. How do you move product from outside the border into the country? Those are some of the challenges that our importers are still, faced with. I would say the other issue is market penetration, especially when the product is here. we need to do more in terms of creating avenues where these companies are able to sell. And I'm specifically mentioning this because the current regulatory environment or framework is such that if you are a citizen-owned company or a majority-owned citizen company, the regulations allow you to trade with certain businesses and not others. Specifically, currently you're not allowed to trade with foreign-based entities. But if we are looking at opening the space for the citizens, those are some of the areas that we need to address to ensure that we ease the doing business.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. Those being the bottlenecks that are experienced by the licensees, and now that we have this, according to your press release, maybe we can then speak about what is going to be happening now. There has been a process of licensing. Maybe we can then just retake us through the process of licensing now, what you're going to be doing, how one is going to get the process and the requirements thereof.
Okay. First of all, before we jump into what we might think will be the solutions to address the issues beforehand, is for us to gather information, like we said, from our clients to be able to understand what they are grappling with, what are the impediments before them that are making things difficult for them to import. Then, after assessing all the information furnished by our clients, then we will map a way forward. Like my colleague has already highlighted, some of the impediments we are well aware of. So, especially in terms of the law, the restrictions that have been imposed by the law on the licensees as to who they can deal with and not, and those that they cannot sell to, is one of those issues that we will revisit. We will review our regulations, if indeed that will help to address what are the real issues. And with that one is what we have identified ourselves on our own. Not what we are being given by our clients, what they are struggling with. So, like we said, we want to start with our clients first.
Right.
They have to come forth. Then, together with what we already know, we will come up with the best solution to address this issue of dormant licenses.
All right. Maybe then we can speak about, since we are speaking about the possibilities of revoking licenses, let's talk about then the source of petroleum here in Botswana. Maybe we can speak about what we're going to be doing to ensure that we don't reach those incidents like during the time of COVID-19 where we had fuel shortages. What are those measures that we're going to be having in place, the implications that are going to come with the revoking licenses, and then how we might mitigate any arising issues?
Okay, no, thank you very much. I think as we indicated, really we are monitoring on a monthly basis the performance of these entities. And you'll recall that the way our market is structured is such that 90% of our requirements here is driven by the national oil company, being Botswana Oil Limited. And then 10% is driven by these majority-owned citizen companies, which, as we indicated, there are really more than 100. So we believe that from a security of supply point of view, through constant monitoring, that is how we will ensure that there is product availability. In fact, what I need to outline is the risks to supply. They have never really been about the players, the limited players in our market. The risks have tended to originate, outside the country. For instance, where the refineries will shut down for maintenance, or maybe there is a civil unrest in one of the source markets. Those will contribute to the supply. And you will see from the press release that we are also emphasizing a further requirement to say we want our importers to show evidence of storage facility or any rental they may be having with another company. This is because security of supply, you will achieve it by ensuring that you have sufficient product in country. And you can only achieve that if you are able to store it without necessarily bridging it directly to consumers. So we believe with the measures that we put in place, of course, working with our licensees, we'll constantly monitor the supply.
All right. Well, unfortunately, that's all the time that we had this morning. But thank you so much. I believe and I trust that you have unpacked it to a great understanding of our stakeholders. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. That was Bera, of course, talking about the recent press release of the changes or the possible revoking of licenses in the petroleum importation. What it means for you as a licensee, what it means also for us as Botswana. When I saw the weekend,